Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Darcy, and in today's episode of the Science on the Edge podcast, I'm going to be talking about integrated technology. And by integrated, I mean integrated into the human body. I'm going to give an overview first of the Internet of Things, which will set the scene for explaining how we can actually go about integrating technology into our bodies. I'm then going to spend a bit of time talking about wearable technologies. There's been a revolution of wearable technology recently, from smartwatches to things like Google Glasses and various other techs. But that's a beginning. The technology is becoming ever more integrated and ever more capable. I'm going to talk about the latest technology that is available right now to sort of enhance human abilities. And then I'm going to move on to talking about technology that's integrated into our bodies. This has started to happen already. Chips have been implanted in human brains and in human retinas. Artificial limbs with wireless connections have also become part of our bodies. Well, some people's bodies. But this is just the beginning. More and more technology is going to become integrated into our bodies as miniaturization continues and IT power increases. There's going to be before and after. So far, humans are pretty much the same as they were when they first evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 200,000 years ago. We evolved as hunter-gatherers. We got to where we are now physically, and all of human history really has been working with the same physiology, more or less the same capacities, mental and physical. That's about to change. There will be the past, which includes now, which consists of humans that are just biological entities, and unmodified biological entities at that. Then there will be the future. That line will be crossed very soon. And the future will consist of humans that are modified, genetically engineered, with technology incorporated into our brains and our bodies. We may look the same outwardly, but our mental and physical capabilities will probably be vastly superior to what they are now. This may sound like science fiction, but it probably won't by the time I finish this talk, because I am going to show you some of the technology that is already out there that is leading to this future Homo Cybernetica. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are, human machines. I struggled with a title for this particular podcast. Human machines seemed like a good one, though. It encompasses a lot of what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so the Internet of Things. This is where we really need to start. What is the Internet of Things? Well, so far, using the internet ends with people. People browse web pages. People send emails and texts. People use software and hardware, such as software as a service on the cloud. But what if the internet allowed devices, things, to communicate with each other? It does. This is the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things has been around longer than you think. So what do we mean by things? Well, we mean anything. Machines and appliances, such as washing machines, such as refrigerators, such as heating systems, vehicles such as cars and bikes, buildings, and wearable devices. These are the things. Now, we already have these things. There are washing machines that you can connect to remotely via your phone, via your device, so that as you leave work, you can communicate with your washing machine, and the washing machine can start a cycle so that the clothes are fresh and ready to hang up just as you get home. Now, at the moment, that requires a person telling the device to actually start the washing cycle. But all of our devices have GPS locators. Well, our phones do. You can imagine a scenario where as you leave work, this is picked up by your device. It knows that you're heading home. sends a signal to your home and starts the washing machine without you even being involved. It's just one thing, the phone, the device, talking to another thing, the washing machine. But this could also be the heating system. You don't need the house to be heated up when you're not in it. So perhaps when your device detects that you're about half an hour away from home, that's when a signal is sent from your device to your home heating system, and the heating can be switched on. Perhaps as you arrive at the front door, the lights come on. All of these things are things. One thing talking to another thing. Vehicles. We have electric cars now. They're a relatively new invention. Tesla, amongst others, have developed electronic cars. They're not yet legal on our roads completely. They're self-driving cars, that is. Electric cars are, but self-driving cars are not completely legal yet because there are some concerns that they may cause accidents. But that will not be the case for much longer. These cars, these self-driving cars, are being tested in places like California and are legal to drive on the highways around places like Los Angeles. Pretty soon, the technology will improve. And these cars, these self-driving cars, will be able to drive anywhere with the person even asleep in the car. It won't matter because these devices will have GPS locations, they'll have 360-degree sensors, they'll have quicker reactions than humans. So these cars, these things, they will be communicating through the internet so that the GPS location is known and the locations of other things, other cars, and you'll be able to be driven without any involvement yourself. Buildings, I mentioned already, smart heating, smart lighting. There's going to be more and more of this. I teach at a couple of universities, and the newest building that we have has got sensors in all the rooms. So if someone leaves the room and there's no one in the room for a few minutes, the lights go out to save electricity. The same is true in the corridors. Now, this will save so much money because right now, I mean, this is one of the universities I work at, but another university I work at doesn't have smart lighting. And I remember just working late one night. I finished work. I was the last one to leave. I walked out to my office. The corridor lights were on, and so were all the classroom lights in the entire building. No one was there except for me. What a waste of electricity. Smart buildings can really save an organization a lot of money. You don't need to heat a building if no one's in it, or keep the lights on if no one is there. Wearable devices. I mentioned things such as smart watches. That is the most common wearable device at the moment. I have a smartwatch myself. My smartwatch counts my steps. It measures my heart rate, measures the amount of sleep that I get and how deep that sleep is. And all of this information is transmitted to my device and to a server, to my phone and to a server. And it will give me all sorts of interesting information about my health, how much exercise I've got, the quality of my sleep, all of these things. Very useful information. This is a thing, a smart thing connecting to the internet. To allow this sort of technology, we need embedded computing. The things need a computer within them. Now, this embedded computing needs the following. It needs a sensor. It needs to be able to sense movement or heat or heart rate or sound or whatever. There needs to be some sensor in the device. You need a processor to process that information. You need actuators. Actuators are devices that can perform some actions such as turning the heating on or locking a door or whatever it is. And we need a network connection, some sort of internet connection, so that these devices can communicate the information that they're processing. Potential applications. Smart homes. Homes that will respond to the person within the home. They will automatically adjust temperature, adjust lighting, lock the doors when no one is in the building. and the windows and do all of these things. That's a smart home. The washing machine automatically performs its tasks. A refrigerator would detect if you're running low on something that you use a lot, like milk or eggs, and it could even automatically communicate with the supermarket to order more product, which could be delivered to you. Smart buildings are really the future. So much energy is going to be saved by buildings that maintain only the right amount of heat and light for the people that are in there. But this leads to smart cities. Now, cities waste so much energy at the moment, so much power on things like lighting, for example. Whole towns are lit up all night when nobody's walking down the street, and that's pointless. Imagine if all of the street lights had a sensor that could detect who was around and an internet connection so that they can communicate with each other. So what would happen? It's the middle of the night, no one is on the streets, no one is detected, so all the lights are out. But then someone starts driving down the road, the lights switch on ahead of them, and signals are sent along the route so that all the lights come on ahead of the driver and switch off behind them at a suitable and safe distance. Same when a person is walking down the street, only the lighting that's needed would be switched on. And in the middle of the night, that means that most of the lighting would be off, and that would save cities a lot of money, huge amounts of money. So smart cities, driverless cars and transports I've talked about. All of these devices require internet connections, sensors, actuators. All cars, all buses, all trains are going to be automated soon. They're going to get so technologically advanced that it's safer to have a self-driving car than a human-driven car. There won't be taxi drivers anymore. You would just order some taxi from your device. The car would show up. You would tap your device on the door. That would allow the taxi to identify you, to pay for the fare, etc., etc. It would take you to the destination. No need for a driver. The same with all the delivery services, pizza delivery, takeaways, all the rest of it will be automated. And there are a number of medical applications. I mentioned the devices, smartwatches. Devices such as that, and even smart rings, which are coming out now, they will detect in the future heart rate, blood pressure, blood glucose levels, salt levels, number of enzymes could be detected. Basically, you could have a device on you all the time that monitors your health in real detail. And if there's anything wrong with you, if there's any illness that's starting to occur, well, that can be detected before you even have a symptom. Perhaps the device could detect that your blood pressure is starting to rise over time, or you have a problem with your glucose levels, perhaps the beginning of diabetes. Whatever it is, the device could detect all of this and alert you, or not even alert you. It could directly alert your doctor, or even a device, a medical device that's at the doctor's surgery, which could automatically diagnose your condition and prescribe a medication. The first you might know about your condition is your phone alerting you to say, this condition has been detected in your body, a medical prescription has been ordered, it will arrive at your home tomorrow. This is the future. One of the most common problems that results in death is a late diagnosis of a condition. You go to the doctor says, if only we caught this earlier. Well, with these wearable devices, we could always catch something early. Could save millions of lives. So enabling technologies. We need embedded computing for this technology to work. We need an internet connection. We need low energy Wi-Fi so that everything can communicate with everything else. Perhaps radio frequency identification, RFIDs for the things on the net. And various sensor technologies such as optical recognition, audio, etc. But is it all good news? Well, with pretty much every piece of technology, there is a good side and a bad side. Even something like antibiotics has a good and a bad side. The good side, we don't get the diseases we used to get. The bad side, bacteria are now becoming resistant to so many of these antibiotics. So same with this sort of technology. Privacy is an issue. If all of these devices are constantly communicating with the internet and with each other, then your location, your heart rate, your blood pressure, how long you spend at different places, what you buy, what you sell, all of this information is out there in the cloud, which means it could be hacked. This data could be used against you. It could be used to manipulate your behavior by, by big organizations, let's say. Some of the big tech companies have already done such things. Companies like Facebook have sold your personal data, so has Google. But at the moment, that personal data is just where you go and what you buy and sell. But a lot more personal data could be sold. Your health. Maybe you're watching some politician give a speech on the TV or on your device, and your heart rate is being monitored and your blood pressure. That data could basically be gathered to determine whether you like the speech or not, whether you respond to that politician positively or negatively, which bits of the speech you like and don't like. All of that information could be bought and sold through the internet. And you'll probably agree to it. Perhaps the devices, the ring, whatever it is, will be given away for free. You just have to sign the terms and conditions. That's how Facebook and Google get to sell all of your data. You'll agree to it, and you'll be manipulated without even knowing it. So there are concerns. Security, obviously, it could be hacked. This information could be hacked, used to control you. You could become dependent on all of these technologies. If a technology does everything for you, perhaps you wouldn't be using your brain quite so much. Already, many people have lost the ability to read maps or to have really good spatial awareness because they use things like Google Maps to get everywhere. And there may be an environmental impact if there's so many new devices coming out all the time. That means old devices are being destroyed. So there may be an environmental impact, but that might be compensated for by the benefits of saving energy. Okay, so that's sort of an intro about the technologies that are needed for this new kind of epoch in human development. But there's a bit more. So how did we get here? First of all, let's go through that. So the origins of wearable technology, actually quite old. Back in the 17th century, the abacus ring was invented. It's a little ring that you would wear where you could slide the little beads to do addition, subtraction, that kind of thing. The wearable abacus, 17th century. And even back in 1907, the pigeon camera was invented. These were used in World War I. Well, prior to World War I. Homing pigeon with a camera attached to it that would be set to take a picture, I don't know, once a minute or so, automatically. It would fly over enemy lines, take lots of pictures, go back to its owner, and then you would have pictures of where the enemy was located, how many guns they had, how many troops they had, etc., etc. So this is wearable technology. It's been around for quite some time, not a new thing. The early 90s, the head-mounted augmented reality headset was invented. Augmented reality means information displayed in front of the real world. So, for example, glasses that you wear that have images superimposed on them. Perhaps you'd walk past a Starbucks and maybe a little advertisement would appear in your visual field. It looks like it's hovering above Starbucks saying, "Hi Mark, why don't you come in? We've got a 2-for-1 offer on muffins," or something. Wasn't used for that originally, but the point is, in the early 90s, these augmented reality headsets were available in their early form. In the 2000s, devices go mainstream to monitor human performance. So Nike have a trainer with a chip in it that monitors your steps so that you can use it while you're jogging, etc. And various health monitors, heart rate monitors, etc. have been integrated into phone devices. Now, this is quite an interesting one. The narrative clip. This has been around for a few years now. You wear this little device, not so little, but little-ish, and it takes a photo once every 30 seconds, day and night. It can be set up to take more pictures if your body's moving a lot, if you're active, and less if you're maybe asleep. And each one of these photos is built up, maybe stored up on a server. Entire lives could be recorded this way. 30-second snapshots of everything you do day and night. Over the course of many years, you could have a lifetime recorded, an entire human lifetime that you could play back. You could look at whatever event you experienced that you particularly enjoyed, you could record it, you could play it back again at a later point. Now, this is once every 30 seconds. You can envision devices that would record constantly as capacity increases on devices and miniaturization improves. Entire lifetimes in real time could be recorded. And perhaps they could even connect to some glasses that you wear so that you could wind back and relive any event that you experienced in your lifetime. It's a very fascinating idea. So devices such as these blade sunglasses, which allow your glasses to interact with other devices just by touching the side. Now, these glasses, there's been a few versions of these now. You can imagine wearing glasses, you're walking down the street and, I don't know, you get a phone call or you get a text message or you get whatever it is, and it appears superimposed in your field of vision. Obviously there'd be safety issues, so maybe you would set it so that things do not appear when you're driving, for example. And this could allow for augmented reality too. You could make phone calls through this device. You could see people, you could browse the internet, you could read messages, you could use it for augmented reality so that you could be walking down the street, maybe you walk past a bar, the bar says, "Hi Mark," they know who you are from GPS. We've got a 2-for-1 offer on cocktails. Why not come in? All of this stuff is on its way. And you can imagine if these glasses had a recording device, then it could basically record everything you do and see. And you could play it back over the lens. And operate remote devices. Instant Translate, Google Pixel Buds. They're the beginning of this technology, but this technology is going to get better and better. So you can imagine you put these little buds in your ears. You're in a foreign country and you're walking down the street and you want to ask someone directions. All you do is, if they've got the buds as well, and I'm guessing at some point we will all have such buds, you could literally just go up to the person. You speak in English. They hear their language. Then they reply to you in their language and you hear English, your language, through the earbuds. Google Instant Translate. Maybe people will not need to learn languages in the future because we will have these automatic instant translation devices. So we'll all be able to understand any language. Now, one issue with this potentially is just the fact that if you're not learning any of these languages, then that part of your brain is not going to be exercised. It's quite good for your brain to learn languages, but this technology is here and it's getting better. And obviously things like Fitbits and all of those devices and the smartwatches can monitor heart rate. In the future, they'll be able to monitor everything from blood pressure to blood glucose levels. There's even a smart tattoo you can wear that changes color when your blood sugar levels change. Very useful for diabetics. Now we start getting a bit more integrated. So far, everything I've been talking about has been wearable, but technology can be incorporated within our bodies. So for example, we already have certain devices such as pacemakers, which can be implanted into the body if the heart is not functioning properly to keep the heart rhythm accurate. But more and more smaller and smaller devices are being designed to be incorporated into the body to help the body function well, to replace worn parts. Artificial hearts have been invented. They are not that good yet, but they will be. There will be artificial pancreas and liver and kidneys. All of these devices will be manufactured and eventually will be better than the real thing. So let's talk about the future tech now. So we'll start with the brain. Here is a chip on the brain, a chip on the brain. Now, I'll give you a brief history of this. I'm not going to go through all of the characters, one of the main characters being Elon Musk, but I'll give you a summary of where we are with this. So it was, okay, so we'll start with epilepsy. So in some severe, well, epilepsy is when neurons within the brain start firing out of control and there is a cascade of electrical activity, a storm going through the brain, which can cause seizures and in severe cases death. Now, some people with very severe epilepsy have had a revolutionary device implanted into their brain. Small chip with little electrodes that touch different sections of the brain. Now, when an epileptic seizure begins, there is a cascade of electrical activity across the brain. Well, this chip monitors the beginnings of an epileptic seizure and dampens down the activity within those regions of the brain to stop an epileptic seizure. There are multiple connections in the brain. Another chip that's been invented is placed into the brains of people with Parkinson's disease. So if someone suffers from Parkinson's disease, they basically have a brain that is not producing enough dopamine, a neurotransmitter. There's a part of the brain called the substantia nigra, which gradually produces less and less dopamine as the cells within it die. And the symptoms of Parkinson's disease, you start to shake, there are all sorts of physical and mental issues, you eventually die. Well, a chip has been invented which can stimulate the dopamine producing cells in the brain to make more dopamine. And the symptoms of Parkinson's are much reduced. But this is the beginning. This involves a few electrodes and a monitor. Now, Elon Musk came along and he bought a company that works with this sort of technology called Neuralink. And he's been working with this company. And they have been putting chips into brains with many more connections. The idea came when people that had had an implant for something like epilepsy, a few scientists said, can we adjust the various settings within your brain? Can we see what happens if we send more signals here, less signals there? They wanted to experiment on these patients, and some patients agreed. And it turned out that if you stimulated certain regions of the brain in the right order, you could actually improve memory, improve the ability to concentrate and to solve puzzles. So you could improve IQ really in a way, or at least concentration and ability. And this is where Neuralink came along. Elon Musk bought this company, and they are working on chips that have many, many connections in different parts of the brain. The idea is eventually there would be a small chip in your brain with electrodes going all through your brain, very microscopically thin ones. And they could do such things as improving memory, concentration, mathematical ability, all of these things, spatial awareness, language skills, just by stimulating the right parts of the brain. And this could be under your control. Now, at first, this technology will be used for people with brain injuries. Maybe someone has Alzheimer's or they've had a head injury and the brain isn't functioning properly. So you put a chip in and it stimulates the remaining part of the brain to fix the deficit. But Elon's ultimate goal is for this to be able to be implanted in healthy people to upgrade humanity. I, for one, would do this if the technology was proven safe and effective. However, there is, as stated earlier, the potential for abuse of this. What if it's hacked? What if it's hacked? So cybernetics. So we all have seen these blades that people can wear so that they can run faster if they're an amputee. That is an example of technology improving physical performance. Now, the people that wear these blades now can run almost as fast as people with legs in the Olympics. And eventually these devices will allow people to run faster than anyone with actual biological legs. This technology is improving. Perhaps when we can make ones that look like normal legs and that you can feel, and have skin on them, people might even choose to have these legs, have their own legs removed even. Arms. So you can have arms with sensors in them, so electronic arms for amputees that allow a person to move their arm just by thought. They think, the signal goes down, it's transferred via a sensor to the device underneath, so the muscle signals are transferred to the device underneath and a person can move their arm. There's a scientist, I can't remember which university he's from, it might be Portsmouth or Bristol or one of those. But this guy had a chip put into his arm that could detect when he sent signals down his arm to move his fingers. And that had a wireless connection. And it could connect to his laboratory miles away, wirelessly. And in his laboratory, he had a robotic arm. And he could move this, pick up objects, etc., just by thinking remotely because of his chip. That's possibly the future of surgery. Why would you need the surgeon, some renowned surgeon, to get on a plane and travel to the opposite side of the planet in an emergency when the surgeon could perform the surgery remotely from, I don't know, the USA, while a patient in Australia is lying in a hospital there with robotic arms doing the surgery? Obviously, you need a good internet connection for this. You don't want an outage when someone has your heart in their hand, or a robotic arm has a heart in your hand, in its hand. Okay, sensors. Retinal implants, they have been invented. These little chips that you can put on the retina of someone with a damaged retina that will send signals to the optic nerve and then the brain. These do not allow a human to gain their sight back, but they allow them to be able to see the difference between light and dark and maybe have a sort of pixelated vision. But in the future, these implants are going to get smaller and smaller and more sensitive with more and more photoreceptors on them. And a blind person could basically have these artificial eyes placed in them and they'd be able to see perfectly, maybe even better than you. You could have perfect vision. You could have a zoom function. You could see in infrared and ultraviolet. You could record everything you see and play it back. People may choose to have their eyes removed and replaced with these when they become a certain level. Memory, the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the part of our brain that allows us to store long-term memories. Some people have a damaged hippocampus. Their memory is not so good. It's one of the first things that goes when you get Alzheimer's disease. The hippocampus starts to die and you lose the ability to form new memories. Well, an artificial hippocampus has been designed, not used in humans yet. But artificial hippocampi are the future. You'll be able to have a small chip. At first, it will augment your hippocampus and allow you to have a better memory. Eventually, even a photographic memory. And at some point, it may be that we all choose to get these chips so that we have a perfect memory. We're upgrading humanity, or we're about to. And the people that choose not to be upgraded will fall behind. They'll be outcompeted. This leads me to the singularity. The singularity. What is the singularity? Well, technological progress is getting faster and faster and faster. More and more things are happening in a shorter and shorter period of time. You look at the history of life, it took millions and millions of years to get to modern humans. But in just the last century or so, all of this technology, all of this new technology has come along. The speed, the acceleration of technological breakthroughs is getting faster and faster and faster. Every year there are massive breakthroughs. If this continues, if things keep getting faster and faster and faster as new technologies come along, and if devices can just talk to devices, then we may reach what we call a singularity. Ray Kurzweil is someone who's a very big proponent of the singularity hypothesis. The idea that technology will get to the point where it starts to improve so fast that from 1 hour to the next, the technology is expanded logarithmically. At which point we reach a singularity where we reach the ultimate in technological advancement over a very short period of time towards the end. This is a theory. A lot of people think that this may not be the truth. This may not happen, but I don't know. I quietly am optimistic about this idea. Infinite technological progress. And you see, the thing is, we have to start putting technology into our bodies. We really need to, because if we don't, we may have some competition for this planet. We really may. You see, AI is getting better and better and better. AI isn't that great yet. There's lots of things artificial intelligence cannot do. Computers are smart. We have language recognition. We have voice recognition. We have visual facial recognition software. We have computers that are very good at mathematics, very good at chess, very good at this, very good at that. Computer systems that can buy and sell stocks and shares, medical diagnostic tools. We have all of this now. But at some point, it's all going to come together. And when it comes together, we're going to get true AI that can do everything a human can do as well as a human. It may even be conscious, but it won't stay that way for long. When it gets to the level of a human, it will rapidly surpass us because of something called Moore's law, which says that speed of technology, the speed of a computer system can double about every 18 months. So 18 months after computer systems become as smart as humans, they'll be twice as smart as humans. And then twice again and twice again. And if we don't incorporate technology into our bodies, into our brains, into our systems so that we are smarter, we are more intelligent, then we could be outcompeted by AI and become nothing more than pets to these things. Or even worse, we could be destroyed. I'm not someone that necessarily looks at these dystopian futures and thinks, yes, things are going to go bad. I'm more of a utopianist. But if we do let AI outcompete us, there is the risk that it could destroy us. If you can't beat them, join them. Become the AI. So in sum, engineering, both biological and synthetic, artificial, will likely change our species profoundly over the next few decades. We have been Homo sapiens for 200,000 years, but in the next few years, maybe even in the next decade or two, we may become Homo cybernetica, the next evolutionary step. And this might scare many people. It doesn't scare me. If it's done correctly, we could upgrade ourselves, but without losing our humanity. We could improve our empathy. Our brains could connect to other brains via the IT that's incorporated within it. If you have a chip within your brain that can communicate wirelessly, that can store memories, that can do all of these things, we could access a cloud of minds just by thinking, communicate directly with other minds, upload and download memories instantly. We could become something superior to what we are now. And I think we should. We're destroying the planet at the moment. Our species was designed to live basically in sub-Saharan Africa as hunter-gatherers. But now we have all this technology and we're destroying the planet because we have not upgraded our bodies. We have that same body, that same brain that we had back in those Paleolithic times. We need to upgrade. We could improve our memories, our intelligence, even our empathy with this technology. And I think we should. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, as always. There is my Twitter handle at Mark of the D, MARKOFTHE capital D. I'm quite controversial on Twitter, but if you like controversial, then feel free to follow me. Okay, thank you very much for listening. And I will speak to you all again very, very soon. Goodbye for now.